Hello. Welcome to the Horror Stories channel. Now I will tell you creepy story about the granny killer. But before I start, please click on like, subscribe to the channel and click on the bell. Now let's get started. The Granny Killer is a scary story about a teenage boy who has psychic visions in which he sees a serial killer murdering his victims. This is based on a segment of an obscure horror movie Terror Tract that was called Come to Granny. A psychiatrist named Dr. Corey is about to finish up for the day when a new patient insists on seeing her. She lets him in and realizes that he's just a teenage boy. He says his name is Sean. He's sweaty and nervous, and although he makes her feel uncomfortable, she tells him to sit down on the couch. When she asks him what the problem is, he tells her that he has been having psychic visions in which he sees people being murdered. Have you ever heard of the Granny Killer? He asks. What do you know about the Granny Killer, Sean? She replies. Nothing, he says, but I knew the victims and I watched them die, one by one. Sean tells her that the first time he had one of these visions, he was in the shower. He saw a young blonde woman being chased by a killer wearing a granny mask. She was running down a dark alley, and the killer had her cornered. That's a good girl, the killer cackled. Now come to Granny. Then he took out a knife and stabbed her to death. The second time Sean had a vision, he was in the pool with his girlfriend, Jasmine. He saw another young woman being chased by the Granny Killer. The woman was running down a hallway, but when she came to a locked door, she was trapped with no place left to go. The killer took out a meat cleaver. There, he said. There's nothing to be afraid of. It's just Granny. Then, as she screamed in terror, he hacked a poor woman to death. The next morning it was in the headlines, says Sean. She was a teacher in my school. Her body had been dismembered and scattered throughout the school. If they didn't have her ID, they would never have been able to identify her. They looked everywhere, but they never found it. What? Asks the psychiatrist. Her ID? No, Sean replies. Her head. The killer must have taken it with him. When Sean's girlfriend Jasmine found out about his visions, she broke up with him. She wouldn't even talk to me, he says. She avoided me in school. She wouldn't return my calls. She thought I was some kind of sick creep. All of a sudden, everyone in school knew about his visions. His friends deserted him, and he was left with no one to turn to. He couldn't eat. He couldn't sleep. He was afraid to close his eyes for fear of what he might see. Can you imagine what it was like, he asks. Knowing that there was a lunatic out there. Knowing that he would kill again. I'd lay awake at night wondering, what kind of man could be behind that mask? What could make someone do something like that? His grades in school began to slide. His parents sent him to a number of doctors, trying to figure out what was wrong with him. They put him on antidepressants, but none of it did any good. Then it happened again. He had another vision. To his horror, he saw the Granny Killer stalking another victim. This time it was someone Sean knew. His ex-girlfriend Jasmine. She was on the floor, screaming and trying to crawl away as the crazed killer took out his meat cleaver. Don't run and hide, he cackled. It's just Granny. Sean immediately grabbed his phone and called the police, but they wouldn't believe him. Let me guess, the officer says sarcastically. You're psychic? Yes, Sean shouts. That's right. Sean jumped in his car and raced to Jasmine's house as fast as he could. When he got there, the alarm was going off and the front door was standing open. Inside he found Jasmine's arm lying on the ground in a pool of blood. It had been hacked off at the shoulder. With tears streaming down his face, Sean made his way through the house, but when he came to the living room, he fell to his knees and began screaming uncontrollably. Sitting on the living room floor was Jasmine's severed head. She was the first person I ever loved, says Sean. The one person I could talk to. She was my world. I knew the police would never believe me. I left before they arrived. That was 2 nights ago. I haven't been home since. Could I have done it? Maybe I blacked out. Maybe I was in some kind of fugue state. Dr. Corey is very nervous. The boy looks like he's out of his mind. He could be very dangerous. He could be the killer. I think I can help you, Sean, she says. I'd like to try, but I think we need to call your parents. Sean jumps out of his seat and grabs the phone from her. He slams it down in frustration. You don't understand, Dr. Corey, he says. I didn't come here looking for treatment. I came here to warn you. I had another vision today. The granny killer is going to strike again, and you're the next victim. When Sean comes too close, Dr. Corey gets scared. She grabs a knife from her desk and they struggle over it. She manages to wound Sean and runs out into the hallway. He runs after her. When she gets to the elevator, the psychiatrist hammers the buttons, waiting desperately for the doors to open. Sean is staggering down the hallway, coming closer and closer. Sean collapses on the floor. Suddenly, the elevator doors open, and when Dr. Corey turns around, she finds herself face to face with the granny killer. She lets out a piercing scream. The killer takes out his meat cleaver and starts giggling. "Now be a good little girl," he says, "and come to Granny." Creepy, isn't it? If you like this story, and if you are not afraid to hear even more scary stories, go to the channel and watch with pleasure. And also do not forget to subscribe, put likes and click on the bell to learn about the latest stories first.